There's a generation sandwiched between two of the loudest cultural forces in modern history. And somehow, nobody talks about them. Not the baby boomers with their revolution, not the millennials with their burnout. The ones in the middle just handled it, quietly, alone. Stay with me because what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you see what it means to grow up without a safety net. Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon, sometime in the mid-1980s. You're 9 years old and you let yourself into an empty house with a key you wear around your neck like a badge. The TV hums on, there's a note on the counter, backed by 6 leftovers in the fridge. No texts, no check-ins, no one tracking your location. You do your homework, maybe you don't. You figure out dinner. You watch whatever you want. And nobody makes a big deal about any of it, because that's just how it is. That small, ordinary afternoon, that's actually the origin story of an entire generation's psychology. And it shaped something in you that most people never fully understand. Here's the thing nobody tells you about growing up like that. Psychologists call it self-directed autonomy, the experience of navigating your environment without consistent adult scaffolding. Research published in the Journal of Developmental Psychology has linked early autonomous experience to higher internal locus of control, meaning the belief that your actions, not external forces, determine your outcomes. For Gen X, lashed together by latchkey afternoons and minimal supervision, this wasn't a parenting philosophy. It was just Tuesday. And what it built, almost accidentally, was a psychological architecture that's genuinely unusual, a deep, almost reflexive self-reliance that kicks in before you've consciously decided to use it. This is why you don't wait to be told what to do, why you trust your own read of a situation, why when things fall apart, your first instinct is to quietly solve it, not perform distress. But here's where it gets interesting. That same self-reliance has a shadow side that psychologists have been paying closer attention to. Researcher Gabor Maté, in his work on attachment and stress, has written extensively about what happens when self-sufficiency is learned too early, when independence isn't a choice but a necessity. The psychological term is compulsive self-reliance, a pattern first described by attachment theorist John Bowlby. It's when the nervous system learns that needing others is either unsafe or pointless, so it stops signaling need altogether. For a lot of Gen X people, asking for help doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels wrong on a cellular level, like a betrayal of who you are. And here's the kicker. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas on self-compassion shows that people with high self-reliance and low help-seeking behavior tend to apply far harsher internal standards to themselves than to others. They'd never tell a friend to just get over it, but that's exactly what they tell themselves. Gen X absorbed a cultural message that feelings were noise, that efficiency was virtue, that stoicism was strength. And many carried that message so deep it became identity. Now, before the comment section explodes, this is where the nuance matters. There's a real difference between healthy independence and trauma-organized isolation. Healthy self-reliance is chosen. You can ask for help, you just often don't need to. Trauma-organized self-reliance is compelled. The idea of leaning on someone genuinely doesn't compute because somewhere along the way, you learned that it costs too much. One is a strength you carry lightly, the other is armor you forgot you were wearing. Here's what's fascinating though, the same psychological crucible that created those patterns also forged something else. Psychologists studying post-traumatic growth, particularly the work of Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, have found that people who navigate adversity with limited external support often develop exceptional cognitive flexibility, a high tolerance for ambiguity, and what researchers call earned resilience. Not the resilience you're born with, the kind you built piece by piece in empty houses and uncertain futures. That's not nothing. That's actually extraordinary. You're not broken. You're not emotionally unavailable or commitment averse or too independent. You're wired by lived experience to survive. And more than that, to adapt, to problem solve, to hold steady when everyone around you is spiraling. The world called your generation forgotten, but maybe what you were was just quieter than the noise required to get noticed. And quiet has never meant less. There's something almost poetic about a generation that asked for so little and built so much from it. Not because they had to perform strength, but because strength was simply what the situation required. And they answered every single time. If this hit home, subscribe. New videos every week on the psychology underneath everyday life. And if this resonated, you'll probably love the next one. Why millennials developed chronic anxiety as a default setting and what the research says about reversing it. Click to find out why.